Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Mines and Money. Delighted to be joined with us today by Scott Drelincourt, who's the Managing Director of the Critical Minerals Group. Delighted to have you with us today, Scott.
Cheers, Andrew.
I saw in your company presentation, you talked about the energy transition is accelerating. How is Critical Minerals Group part of that?
Well, we're trying to meet the growing demand for the energy transition and the critical minerals that are going to be required for that. So that's the crux of who we are as a company and what's driving our ESG policies, to be part of the critical minerals change and to help decarbonise the globe.
And which specific critical minerals are the Critical Minerals Group involved in?
At the moment, we've just got two critical minerals we're focused on at this stage. It's vanadium, our flagship project, which is predominantly used in battery storage, which is where we see the biggest market and growth for it, in large-scale battery storage, and copper as well. We've got a greenfields exploration play in copper. But we'll look to identify other critical mineral projects as we grow as a company.
And can you talk specifically about some of the projects that you are involved in, whereabouts they are located, what the infrastructure is like?
Sure. So our flagship project is the Lindfield project, just near Julia Creek in Queensland, Australia. And our project, it has a 210 million tonne resource at 0.39% V2O5, vanadium pentoxide. And the tenement is intersected by heavy gauge rail and road. So it has a direct access to port and has bitumen road going through the tenement right to the outcrop. Yes, the tenement outcrops at surface, the resource. So that's another positive for us as well.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned you had another project as well. What's the...
Yeah, so we've got two greenfield projects at Cloncurry in the Mount Isa region. Copper gold plays. They're early stage greenfields plays, so we'll be looking to define drill targets there and do some early stage exploration work. They've got some copper and gold anomalies on both projects, Big Tree Creek and Lorena Surrounds. So we'll be looking to further define those.
Mm-hmm. I also see that you've assembled a really good management team. Would you like to talk to us a little bit about, firstly, your experience and background, and then secondly, that of your key team members? Sure.
Well, I'm a geologist by trade. Worked in multiple fields across the world. Predominantly, where I cut my teeth, I suppose you'd say, would be in coal. And it was probably early 2010s, 12s, where I started to feel a bit uneasy there. And I was driven to do something a bit more ethical where I'd sleep better. And that transitioned me into critical minerals. And that's where I've been for the past 8 years now. And that's where my passion lies. So my experience in that field as well, I've done everything from exploration, brownfields, operational underground, surface, scoping studies, feasibility study management, you name it, I've probably done it as a geo. Yeah.
And what about your management team? You seem to have assembled a very, very strong management team. Can you tell us a little bit about their backgrounds?
So we've got a management team, consulting team as well. So we've got Brisbane Met Labs, who are leading the way in the vanadium processing space in Australia. So they're actually in the middle of building a pilot plant at the moment, which will be running our material through later this year. Where we're looking to utilise a company called Stantec, who do a lot of engineering studies, feasibility studies, and they've done work in this space as well, in the vanadium operational space as well. Good relationship with them, so they'll be looking to do our scoping study and take us into PFS as well. And we use independent geological firms to sign off on our reports, which just puts an arm's distance between us and the sign-off, which is, I think, the right thing to do. So we use Measure Group for that, and they're very competent and have been around for a long time as well in multiple commodities. So we've got great relationships with all those guys. The work with them has been lined up for the next 2 years to get us through pilot plants, scoping study, and get us ready for PFS.
In terms of investors, if they are looking at this and they are looking to go and come on board and invest in Critical Minerals Group, what are some of the investment highlights or plans that you have in play for the next 12 months?
I suppose the investment highlight is we've got an EV, enterprise value of only $3.8 million, where we have a JORC resource, 210 million tonnes at 0.39% V2O5, which is at surface, a good tonnage, at a very good grade compared to our peers with infrastructure in place. So that is an exceptional value, I believe. There, we've got a pretty aggressive roadmap to get us through to PFS. So I think that's a highlight. And then we've just talked about the team there to support it. So that's there as well. We've got government incentives and tailwinds supporting us. So state, federal, and Australia, let alone other hedge funds that are sort of pushing down this ESG pathway. But the Queensland government at the end of last year announced a $10 million grant or facility to build a vanadium demonstration plant. So we'll run our material through a pilot plant this year. But there'll be a $10 million processing plant, which will be a demonstration scale. So they'll produce much more bulk end material, which will kickstart this new emerging battery storage market across the world. And we want to be a leader in that space. So we've got support from the government in that space, and we're quite happy with that. And they'll accelerate the timelines and save us a lot of dollars.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of your investors, who are your key shareholders at the moment?
Key shareholders are private. We've got a couple of funds involved. We've only done the seed round at the moment, so we've only done a small pre-IPO raise. At the moment, I'm sort of hoping to get the investors who are passionate about the energy transition and decarbonisation, have a passion for ESG, a true passion for it, and who also have interest in the downstream opportunities from critical minerals, such as battery storage. Mm-hmm. I think they're the kind of investors we're looking to attract to the company, because we're passionate about that and we want our investors to be so too.
Sure. And just to be clear, you're not just looking at Australian investors, you're looking at investors globally. So as long as that investor is passionate about ESG, as long as it believes in the Critical Minerals Group story, then they're the sort of investor you want to have on board.
That's right. That's correct. Yeah. We'll be looking to list on the ASX, so we'll have to be following those rules of the ASX guidelines. But yes, we're agnostic to the investors. As long as they align with our ethos, we're happy with that.
So obviously a great investment story in a great jurisdiction, supported by the Queens and the government, great management team, very, very exciting sort of mining opportunity, and it's also part of the energy transition as well. Is there anything else that kind of makes you stand out from investors? I mean, we've already named 4 or 5 really kind of great sort of like reasons, but is there anything else that you'd like to highlight?
I think we've got a great management and board. We haven't touched on our board itself.
Okay.
I've got Art Malone. He's about my age, just pre-40s. So mm-hmm. I'm post-40, unfortunately. But he's managing director of Peak Healing. He's just completed a $92 million raise. We've got our chairman, Alan Broome, Order of Australia Medal for his services to mining. He's got a lot of experience, sits on a lot of boards, really help drive us and hold us to account and drive us to success. I think we've got the right board, right management team. I don't think I know, I'm confident there. And we've got the right roadmap to deliver a project that will actually leave a good legacy for energy transition and decarbonisation. But we will be looking to, we will be looking to build to the CMG portfolio and add other critical mineral projects to the story when that time sees fit.
Well, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show today, Scott. Sounds a really excellent project, a project that our investors should definitely be interested in, and we look forward to seeing you more at Mines and Money events. That was Scott Drelincourt, Managing Director of the Critical Minerals Group. Thank you.
Thanks, Edward.